My next guest is a country music legend. At 19 years old, Bill Anderson's music career began with his first song, City Lights. Numerous hits have followed, and his unique singing and storytelling style quickly earned him the nickname Whispering Bill. His enduring talent even draws today's country stars like Brad Paisley, Kenny Chesney, and Vince Gill, who all love to co-write and perform with him. He just celebrated his 80th birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Dean of Country Music, Whispering Bill Anderson.
Wow. Oh, thank you. Oh. Whoa. Thank you.
Bill, I'm going to come back out again because I did not get that kind of response when I showed up. You know, but you have earned it.
Well, you're very kind. One night, late in his life, I introduced the great Roy Acuff on stage at the Opry. And they did that. They stood up, and Mr. Acuff turned to me, and he said, "They ain't going home, are they?"
No, they're not going home because they love you here. And not just in Nashville, but across the country. Not many people have had a career that had the longevity that yours continues to have, because it's still going on. And that's what's remarkable. But one of the things that I found so remarkable in reading your book was that the song, City Lights, one of the things for which you're known, that has been covered by a gazillion artists through the years, was not written as you looked out over Las Vegas. It was written as you looked out over Commerce, Georgia. What's going on?
There were 2 traffic lights and a drugstore sign flashing on and off. My dad told me later in life, he said, "Son, I should have known at 19 years of age you were going to be a songwriter if you could look at Commerce, Georgia, and write the bright array of city lights as far as I can see."
What an imagination. Bill, I think you missed your calling. You should have gone into politics. When you can embellish a story like that, you could have been elected to anything. One thing that I find remarkable about you is that you have performed with artists, not just the ones that maybe came along in the 60s, but I mentioned people like Vince Gill and Kenny Chesney, Brad Paisley. These guys look up to you, first as a songwriter as well as a performer. What advice have you given them?
Oh, write with somebody besides Bill Anderson. No, we kind of play off of each other. You know, I love writing with people who kind of come to it from a different place than I come to it. And Vince Gill and Brad Paisley, Kenny Chesney, names that you mentioned, you know, much younger than I am. I like to think that maybe I impart a little wisdom to them. I don't want to sit up there and say, well, back in the day, here's how we used to do it. You know, you don't want to do that. And yet at the same time, you know, you want to share the benefit of what you've learned over the years. And I, in turn, learn from them. You know what Brad Paisley calls me?
What's he calling you?
He calls me Moses.
Moses?
We were writing one night, and he's over there with his computer and all his electronics. And I'm sitting over there, and I still write with a legal pad and a number 2 pencil. And I'm sitting over there with
they
my
still
pad.
Make those, right?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
I've got a big supply. And Brad is over there with all of his toys, and he looks across the room at me, and he says, "Hey, Moses, when did you quit writing with a hammer and chisel?"
Bill, I read your book, and there's another chapter of your story that people probably don't know. I mean, you've had remarkable success, but you've also had deep, deep valleys of difficulty.
Yeah.
Periods where some bad financial situations almost left you just broke. Yeah. Tough times. How'd you rebound? What was the key to that?
Well, I think one thing is I've always had, and I'm not a preacher, I'm not a politician or a preacher, but I've always had a very deep and abiding faith. My grandfather was a Methodist minister who became a district superintendent and moved up, and I grew up in the shadow of that, hearing my mama sing Amazing Grace as she washed the dishes and these kinds of things, and I had nowhere else to turn because my world was cut right out from under me. My wife at the time was in a terrible automobile wreck and nearly lost her life. We had a 6-year-old son at the time. And you're going through that, and you're watching all of your dreams and your financial security and everything be taken away at the same time. Boy, if you don't have a little faith in a situation like that, I don't know how people get through it that don't have it.
You know, the truth is, I don't think a lot of them do, Bill, and that's the sad part. I want to tell our audience, Bill's autobiography is like a walk through the finest years of country music, Whispering Bill Anderson, an unprecedented life in country music. It is available online or at your favorite bookstore and at billanderson.com. It is a great read, a powerful read. And Bill, when we come back from a break, how about you share a song with us? I bet we could talk you into that, couldn't we?
Could I? Thank you. Only if I can sing a very tender love song.
I bet we'll let you do that.
Remember I said that.
I remember that. That's what we're going to do.